Hey, before you click on that apply button, that's probably going to end up ghosting you, and before you shrink yourself down to this job description that was probably written by someone half of your age, I want you to consider something different. What if the goal isn't getting back in? What if the goal is actually building something that nobody can shove you out of? Here's a number that I can't stop thinking about. 3 out of 10 entrepreneurs in the United States are over 50. 3 out of 10. That's up from 2 out of 10 in 2007. And here's the part that can either make you angry or make you hopeful, depending on how you look at it. Nearly half the workers in their late 60s are self-employed. By their late 70s, it's nearly 2/3. Do you know why that is? It's not because everyone suddenly decided to be an entrepreneur and got caught up in the craze. It's because traditional employment rejects older workers. It's the system, and people have to adapt to it. So this episode is about micro-entrepreneurship, small, scalable, low-risk digital income streams. We're going to walk through 8 specific different models of that. And I'm going to be really honest with you about what they pay and what they might cost you. And I'm going to also show you how to structure a portfolio of businesses so that not a single platform, not a single client, and no single algorithm change can take you down. If you've already watched my episodes on consulting and fractional leadership, I'm going to link those down below and right here so that you can check those out. I'm not going to cover that ground again in this particular video episode. And separately, again on micro-entrepreneurship, there's going to be an episode coming up in the near future about teaching and educating, which is going to be covered later. But right now, we're going to be focusing on a couple of different income streams that you could probably start to build around your kitchen table this weekend. Let me be honest with you. Most of the content out there about side hustles and passive income, it's made by 25-year-olds for 25-year-olds. The energy is frantic, but frankly, their assumptions are a little bit wrong because the advice that they give, it assumes that they have 50 years to make up for the mistakes along the way. I hate to say, but we might not have 50 years, but we have something that's much better. We have experience and knowledge built up over decades. Here's the thing about micro-entrepreneurship. It rewards exactly the experience that workers already possess, domain expertise. Look, you have 20, 25, 30 years of knowing something really deeply. A 28-year-old affiliate marketer, they don't have that. They can't fake it. They can't fake 3 decades of pattern recognition in things like pharmaceutical sales or supply chain logistics or HR compliance or financial services. They can't. Whatever your industry experience is, it can be monetizable. Tap into your professional networks. Your first 10 clients, your first 10 newsletter subscribers, your first 5 customers, they already know you. They trust you. And look, you're not starting from zero. You're starting from a career's worth of relationships. And you've got pattern recognition. You've seen cycles. You know what clients actually are willing to pay for during a presentation of a pitch deck. You understand what it means about cash flow. You understand what it means when you talk about risk. These are assets of knowledge that take decades to build. And there's a psychological piece here also that I don't want to gloss over. Employment over 50 often means fighting, ironically, to stay in environments that are actually trying to push you out. That takes a toll on you. It erodes something inside. But micro-entrepreneurship, it's the psychological antidote. You set your own terms. You own the output. Nobody can can age you out of your own business. And that matters. Let's walk through these different income streams. For each one, I'm going to tell you what it is, why it's for somebody who's over 50, and what the money really looks like. Stream number one are niche newsletters. Platforms like Substack, Beehive, and ConvertKit, they've made this absurdly simple. You write about something about which you know very deeply. People subscribe, and if you charge $10 a month and you have 500 paid subscribers, that's $60,000 a year from writing. Here's why this fits for us. Newsletters, they reward depth, not necessarily speed. A 25-year-old influencer, they can chase the latest trends, but sustained, insightful writing on a specialized topic, no, that demands lived experience, something they don't have. You know, the top newsletters on Substack, and these are only really the top ones, they make about $500,000 a year. And they're not written by generalists. They're written by people who know the topic cold. Let's set some realistic expectations though, right? Most newsletter writers, they don't make six figures a year. The majority of newsletters makes maybe less than 10,000 per year. But the ones who treat it truly like a business with consistent publishing and a clear niche and really audience building, they can reach $1,000 to $3,000 a month within 12 to 18 months. And here's what's interesting. The content, it compounds, right? Every issue that you write becomes an asset that stays out there. It lives out there. It's discoverable through search, and it's ultimately shareable by your readers. So it just compounds the number of readers and the number of downloads that you have. Then we have Stream 2, which are downloadable content. The downloads can be things like templates, checklists, spreadsheets, planners, contract outlines, and SOPs. So you create it once and you sell it infinitely. Platforms like Etsy, Gumroad, and Creative Media Market, they handle the delivery and the payment processing for you. And your margins, they're nearly 100%. For someone with decades of professional experience, this could be a small gold mine. You've spent 30 years thinking, hey, why didn't somebody write about that? Well, here you go. Write about it and sell it. A well-designed template bundle priced at $25 to $50 that sells 20 copies a month is $600 to $1,200 from work that you did one time. The top sellers on Etsy in the digital download category, they're pulling in anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 a month. But look, and let's be honest, this is not a get rich quick program, right? This is something where you build it once and then you just sell it repeatedly over and over and over. And frankly, this model, it fits for somebody who doesn't want to sit in front of a camera or chase hourly work on a continuous basis. The thing sits out there and people can sell it without you even paying attention. Stream number 3 is print on demand. And what print on demand is you create designs, and those designs are then applied to t-shirts and mugs and hats and hoodies and other things. And a third-party company, they basically print it on demand when someone orders, which means there's no inventory, there's no shipping for you to worry about, and no upfront cost for you to have to invest. Platforms are Printful, Printify, and Gelato. Sounds an interesting name for that. These integrate really easily with Etsy, with Shopify, with Amazon. But now let me be really honest about the numbers behind that. The profit margins on print on demand are pretty thin. We're talking typically $5 to $8 per item after the production and the platform costs. So yes, even though the print on demand global market is growing dramatically to 13 billion a year, the competition is intense. The average store has a conversion rate of only about 2%. This is not a, start the business and quit your job tomorrow type of thing. This is something that you really do on the side for additional supplemental income. But if you want to try it, done well with really niche specific designs and good smart marketing, you could earn a couple of hundred to $1,500 a month. Not bad money as a supplement. The creators who are successful in this field, they're not just making generic funny cat t-shirts. They're very niche, but they're doing things for like retired accountant humor or nurse practitioner pride, something like this. The more niche you are and appeal to a specific audience, the more successful you probably can be. The fourth stream of income could be self-publishing with Amazon KDP. Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP, it allows you to publish ebooks, paperbacks, even hardcover books with zero upfront costs on your side. No inventory that you have to stash in the garage or in the basement. You write it, you upload it after formatting it to their specific format, and Amazon then prints it on demand. You earn royalties on your book, which can be up to 70% on something that costs between $2.99 and $9.99 on the platform. Look, these are not blockbuster numbers that we're talking about here in terms of the prices, but you'd have to, at 70% royalty, you would have to publish quite a few books in order to have that income stream that you're looking for. So here's the reality, right? Most self-published books, they never sell more than 100 copies in their lifetime. So really think about that. The median self-published author, that person earns a few $100s in total over the lifetime of their book. That's the honest truth. But the authors who treat this truly like a business, who publish multiple books, who build a book catalog online, who understand the keywords and the different categories, they can earn very differently by being very serious about it. There are over 3,600 KDP books which make over $1,000 per month. And there are over 700 which make over $5,000 per month. So for someone who's over 50, your advantage is not necessarily the volume. It's going to be the authority in a particular subject area. Look, a 60-page workbook on the Encore career planning guide, that could be interesting. Or the severance negotiation checklist. Practical, specific, written by somebody who's gone through it once, maybe twice, maybe more. Now, something like that could sell for $14.99 because there's real, usable, practical knowledge buried in that volume. So again, you write it once, you upload it, Amazon sells it for you, and you're making money while you sleep. Then we have stream number 5, which is starting a YouTube channel. Look, you're working right alongside me right now. I just got into YouTube in 2025, and it's still new to me. I'm still learning a lot about the algorithm. So you're watching this whole thing play out in real time. YouTube, it rewards consistency and authority in a particular subject area. So the monetization path, it goes something like this. You have ads, then affiliate marketing, then sponsorships, and finally you sell some of your own products via your channel. At 5,000 subscribers, you might earn a few $100s via the ads from YouTube. At 20,000 subscribers, that could be $1,000 or $2,000 per month. The bigger opportunity, though, I have to say, is what the channel feeds into. It feeds into your newsletter, into your consulting, into your digital products, and into your courses that you develop. I've got to say, the biggest challenge is the first 12 to 24 months to grow your channel. I'm into it now, not even quite 6 months, and I've got a subscriber base that's growing. It's not growing that quickly, but it is growing, and it's quite active. I do interact with the subscribers that leave me comments. So you ultimately are starting with well, frankly, an audience of zero. And then most channels, they don't even reach a point of monetization because it's a challenge. It takes time and it takes dedication. But if you have deep expertise in something and you have a clear message to deliver, then YouTube could actually be a growth engine for you. It's not just an income stream, but it's an engine that grows all the other streams that you have behind it. Stream number 6 is having podcast sponsorships, either audio podcasts or also YouTube. Even a relatively small and niche podcast can attract sponsors. So if your audience is very specific and it's very engaged, at 1,000 downloads per episode, the CPM rates, that's the cost per 1,000 listeners, it ranges from $15 to $30 for pre-recorded ads, and $25 to $40 for the host-read ads that are built right into the podcast. So if you do the math, and I had to do this one on a calculator earlier, one episode per week, 2,000 downloads, $25 CPM for a mid-roll ad, and that can turn out to be about $50 per episode, which is about $200 per month. It's not life-changing at all. I understand that. I get that. But at 5,000 downloads with 2 sponsors per episode, now you're talking $500 to $1,000 per month. So it can only increase from there. And this actually grows as your catalog of videos and podcasts grows, because people are still looking and listening to the older episodes as well. There's also hidden opportunity in B2B or business to business niches. So for example, if your podcast targets financial advisors or HR professionals or even healthcare administrators, companies that are selling consulting or software or other products to that niche group, they may very well invest in advertising on your channel. Stream number 7 is online communities. And this one really takes time to build. Here we're talking about paid membership to communities online, like School, Circle, or Discord. Members would typically pay $25 to $50 for access to you, for access to your expertise and access to your community of other professionals. The math is fairly straightforward here. So if you have 50 members paying $47 a month, you get $2,350 in membership fees. And if you have 200 subscribers, that number pops up to $9,400. These aren't fantasy numbers. I mean, they could work, but it takes a lot of hard work. The creator economy, it's moving towards the foundation of communities because they produce predictable and regular revenue. And guess what? They're immune pretty much to algorithm changes. For someone over 50, if you have a specific niche topic that you would create a community around, this can really work because it leverages your ability to facilitate, to mentor, and to connect people. These skills, they come with experience. It's not just knowing how to edit a TikTok video that builds this. Now let's move on to the 8th and final revenue stream, which is AI-assisted services. Here, I'm not telling you to go learn AI. No, I'm telling you to use AI to provide services that other people can buy from you. You would be using AI to deliver something that you could normally deliver, but you do it faster and you do it at a higher volume. This could be resume writing, cover letter writing, LinkedIn profile optimization, things that I've talked about on this channel before. These services can cost $150 to $700 if you're a client in the professional market, people who provide these services. But with AI as your draft engine, you can deliver the same quality in much less time to your clients. If you know what a good resume looks like, and after decades in your industry, you do, or you should anyway, AI is not replacing your judgment. It's just eliminating that blank page problem. You edit, you refine, you deliver. And if you build this up at 3 clients a week, charging $250 a piece to handle those types of services for them, that's about $3,000 per month. And the overhead that you have to invest for that, it's nearly zero, possibly just a subscription to one of the AI services. And here's an irony alert. I always love irony. You know, the same AI that's flooding recruiters with generic applications and making it harder actually to get hired, well, that AI can also become part of your income model. You're actually using their weapon as your tool to help other people. I'm going to talk about the upsides and downsides of micro entrepreneurship. But let me first start with the upside. We're talking about age-proof income. You know, nobody can fire you for being 58 when you're the one who's actually signing the contracts on everything here. And then next are extremely low startup costs for many of these different opportunities. Most of these require $0 to $500 even just to test them. Compare that to a franchise where you're talking $50,000 to $500,000, or even a brick and mortar rental. This is a much less expensive entryway to becoming an entrepreneur. You also have what I would call portfolio resilience. So, for example, if one stream out of these 8, assuming you go into all 8, dries up, maybe because of an algorithm change, a seasonal dip, or one of the platforms changes their policies, other income streams in your portfolio, they can compensate. There's location independence. I work from home, or I can work from wherever I happen to be traveling. There's intellectual engagement. Building something, it keeps you sharp. You're learning. And there's research that shows that entrepreneurship, it functions like a cognitive health protective factor. Building things is good for your brain. But because this is also a no bullshit channel, now we have to talk about the downsides of micro entrepreneurship. And I'm not going to soft pedal this one because you deserve honesty and knowing what you're going to get into. First, there's income unpredictability. The average side hustle, the average, is about $1,100 a month. But the median, where half earn more and half earn less, is $200. And that tells you something about this venture. Most people earn very little, but a few people, they earn a lot. And having an irregular income, it makes planning a little bit more difficult. There's no safety net. There's no employer sponsored health insurance. There's no 401k, and not a match either. Clearly, there's no paid leave, and there's no unemployment benefits. I mean, for someone between 50 and 64, just the topic of health insurance is a very serious line item. The COBRA, or the ACA marketplace in the United States, it's typically going to run you $500 to $1,500 a month just to have that health insurance coverage. And don't build yourself a business model that ignores this, because this is a very critical area to consider. Then there's isolation. You're used to running teams and running meetings and having collaborative environments, but solo entrepreneurship, it can be pretty lonely. I personally work from home 5 days a week, and I don't always leave my home during the course of the day. So there's definitely something to be said about compensating against that feeling of isolation. This is a real mental health risk that you have to think about. So you want to think about what type of community do you have around you that can compensate for those days working on your own alone. And then I have to say the learning curve is very real. Whether you're talking about SEO, email marketing, digital marketing, payment processors, social media, algorithms, AI tools, all of it, the technical overhead, the learning, it's not trivial. Anyone who tells you, it's easy, just go start, they're selling you something. It is learnable. Absolutely, it's learnable. But it takes time and it takes effort to learn all of the different tools that you have to master in these different 8 streams. And then there's a time investment that you have to put in order to really gain traction. The people that make less than $100 a month on these different ventures, they're investing far under 5 hours a month. The corollary to this, you need to have a sustained part-time effort that goes into these different businesses. We're talking about 5 to 20 hours per week that you invest for 3 to 6 months just to get everything truly off the ground. And that's before the income and the revenue really gets started. And among those who are earning $500 a month or more in these different types of income streams, they're investing absolutely more than 5 hours a week to make it happen. We're not talking about passive income here. There's a lot of effort required to get yourself started, to get yourself established until the income starts to generate. Here's the truth. A single income stream from one of the streams we talked about, it's not going to replace an $80,000 to $120,000 annual salary that you had in the past. At least it's not going to do that very quickly, if ever. But if you took a portfolio approach to this, that could be a different story. I want you to think about this, let's say in four different categories. And I'm going to show you how I structure my own business in my own way that works for me. So let's get started. I'm going to describe for you exactly how I do this every day. First is what I would call the anchor stream of revenue, of income. And this is your most active stream. This is the work that pays you the highest hourly rate. For me, this happens to be consulting. And I work directly with clients who need my expertise on 2 separate different areas. One is ageism and how to recover from having lost their job due to ageism. The other one is working in the automotive industry, where I spent 30 years career and advising clients in that field. This is the stream that, frankly, it pays the bills, and it's the most reliable, although it's been a little bit spotty in an uncertain economy in the past 18 months. So if you're wanting to build a portfolio career, then you start there. It could be consulting, it could be coaching, it could be a freelance service, it could be some AI assisted businesses. Pick one that you believe is your anchor and the most reliable. This is probably going to be one where you have a tremendous amount of expertise that you can turn into cash at an hourly rate or at a general rate that respects the degree of experience that you have. Among these are consulting and fractional leadership roles, things that I've covered in past videos. So I'll be sure that the links are shown in the notes. Next is what I would call the leverage stream. This is, I would say, semi-passive income. These are digital products like templates and workbooks and the like. For me, this is downloadable content that is available through my website. I have detailed guides, I have checklists, I have other resources that um, I offer because I can't go as deep into them here on a video, but I offer to the members of my website to subscribe and to have access to all of those downloadable materials. It's all available on ageismsurvivalguide.com for download to get access to that. I create it once and I can sell it, or you can download it repeatedly. Having products like this, it starts to decouple your income stream from your time constraints because it lives out there and it's available forever. Then there's what I would call the audience stream. This one is the growth engine. This is the one that really will help you take off. For me, that's the podcast and this YouTube channel. It might not generate the biggest revenue for me for 12 to 24 months. Remember, I'm only 6 months in, or not even 6 months in. But this channel, it feeds everything else. Every video that you watch, it builds trust with me. At least I hope so. Every episode that I have, it introduces my work to people. And when I launch a new digital product or announce some other type of consulting availability, the audience already knows me. They know who I am and they know what I know. And this eventually builds trust in me or in you if you start your own channel. And that makes every other stream that much more powerful because you're directing your audience to that stream. Then we have what I would call the opportunistic stream. This is where the supplemental income falls in, like affiliate marketing, print on demand, sponsorships. So for me, I have a video on how to move overseas. I've done this 5 times. I know how to move overseas, and that sales of that video fall into this category. That type of video course, it's something, again, that you make it once, you offer it, and it sells and sells indefinitely. But just remember, these opportunistic streams, these are like the cherry on top of the dessert. It's something that you add, but it's not something that you want to rely on 100%. Again, you rely on your anchor to hold down everything else. The principle of this portfolio strategy is actually pretty simple. No single income stream should represent more than 50% of your income. That way, if there's a platform change, a new algorithm, if one client leaves, if one product cycle is somehow interrupted, your portfolio doesn't just collapse in by 50%. Instead, your rest of your portfolio can absorb that, and you have a continued income stream, even if you lose one component inside of your portfolio. So I'm going to try to put together some numbers on this for you to give you a little bit better idea. That way you walk away with a little bit more of a real picture of what the opportunity here could be. I just want to state clearly here that this is not a guarantee. This requires a lot of hard work and time investment. But this is a model that's based on real data, and people are building their portfolio careers in this way. So let's talk first about your anchor stream of income, your consulting, or let's say AI assisted services. Let's say those bring in $3,000 to $5,000 a month at 10 to 15 hours per week. Then you have the leverage stream, which are the digital downloads and your Amazon KDP book. That could bring in $500 to $1,500 per month. Then we move on to the audience stream, and this is the YouTube or the podcast where you have sponsorships. So here, this could bring $200 to $800 per month, and that grows as your platform grows. And then you have your opportunistic revenue stream. So here, an online course, affiliate revenue, it could be another $300 to $1,000 per month. You're looking at a realistic portfolio range that could go from $4,000 to $8,000 per month with 20 to 25 hours invested on a weekly basis. This could ultimately get you to about $48,000 to $96,000 per year. Is that replacing a six-figure corporate salary right away? No, it is not. But it is real income that gives you real autonomy, and nobody can take this away from you because of your age. Here's the thing. I am not going to tell you that this is easy, because it is not. I have to admit that there have been times when I have looked at my checkbook with despair because of a bad month or a bad quarter. But I will tell you this. It is easier than spending the next 10 to 15 years of my life fighting to stay inside of an organization that wants to eject me anyway, that doesn't want me. So as I've personally experienced, the first income stream as a micro-entrepreneur is the hardest. The second one gets easier because then you already have an audience and an email list and a reputation out there. Once people trust you, launching the second, third, fourth income streams becomes easier because people know you, they know what you know, and they want more of it. So launching the subsequent income streams is certainly easier than launching the first one from zero. I want you to do this one thing this week. Identify what is your anchor stream. What is the one skill, the one body of knowledge that you have, the one service that you could offer if somebody asked? Write it down. One skill, one offer, one client. That is where it starts. If you found today's episode helpful, then please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and pass this on to somebody who might need to see it. Every share can help, as I explained earlier, but also who it could be good for somebody who might be sitting in their kitchen right now wondering what comes next for them. And be sure to visit ageismsurvivalguide.com. That's basically my home base for all of the different resources that I've developed for you. Here, as a paid subscriber, or even as a free subscriber, you have access to downloadable materials, which includes books, guidebooks, workbooks, and resources on everything that we've covered today in this episode, as well as past episodes. I'm also starting to build a group on Discord, a community there. So the link is there. It's still in its infancy, but you're welcome to join in. This is our time to rise. As I always say, youth runs fast, but age knows the terrain. See you next week.